Hey guys, Dan Meyer here, and in this short video I'm going to give you 3 tips to help you catch more bass through the ice. Now, a lot of people think that once the lakes start freezing over, bass fishing is over, they're not going to bite. But that's not true. Actually, bass fishing during the winter can be really good. And as a matter of fact, for the last month I've been just hammering bass through the ice. So I'm going to give you 3 tips to help you catch more bass. So tip number 1 is location. Location for bass is very important. Now, in the winter, largemouth and smallmouth bass are going to be found in different areas. Largemouth bass will probably be in weeds, in green weeds, either in the weeds or on the deep weed edge. And that's pretty much where you're going to find the largemouth. It's a pretty easy pattern. It's not always easy to find them, but to know where they're going to be, it's not that difficult. They're going to be in the green weeds or on the deep green weed edge. Smallmouth bass are going to be located in deeper water and on rock humps or rock points. That's the best place to find them. And a lot of them are going to be in real deep water, but the active feeding ones are going to be up higher. So some deep bass, smallmouth bass might be holding in some deep water off some rocks, but then when they feed, they might move up onto a hump, and that's where you're going to find them. And actually, rock humps have been where I've been finding a lot of smallmouth bass this year. So when you're going to look for bass, look for lakes with rock humps, you'll probably find some smallmouth bass on them. Now, tip number 2 is what to catch these bass on. So in the winter time, the bass metabolism slows way down, and it takes a long time for them to digest a bigger bait. So the baits that you're going to have a lot of success on are definitely going to be smaller. You're definitely going to need to downsize. Panfish baits actually work really well for them. Now, on warm days, so in the winter, bass like a warm, stable weather pattern. That's usually going to get them to bite. So on really nice days, I've had luck catching bass on bigger baits like jigging wraps and a lot of different spoons. But then on some days, I'll mark them on my Humminbird. They'll come right up to the bait, look at it, and leave. But on those same days when I downsize to just a jig and a waxworm or a jig and a couple waxworms, I'll get those fish to bite. So a lot of the baits that you're going to use for panfish are going to work for bass in the wintertime. Just make sure that you've got a reel with a really good drag, because when you get those bass on, man, are they going to fight. So when you're fishing winter bass, make sure you downsize. Smaller baits are usually going to work better. And then tip number 3 is going to be for your jigging technique. Bass in the winter usually are not very aggressive. Now, if you get a real warm pattern, some stable weather, they're just going to come up and crush your bait. Sometimes I've had days this winter where I'd hook 8, or at least have a bite from 8 out of 10 bass. It didn't matter what I was doing. They were going to come up and smash it. But that is not the norm. Usually in the winter, the bass want a real slow presentation. So you're maybe going to just pop that jig up like 8 inches, 9 inches, and let it fall back down. Pop it up, let it fall back down. And a lot of times bass in the winter, they're just going to come up and they're going to stare at that bait. You're just going to keep on popping it up, let it fall right in front of their face. If they still aren't hitting, you can pop it up, slowly let it fall. So you pop it and then just slowly move your hand down. That doesn't get them to bite. You can just kind of just shake that bait right in their face. And if they still won't bite, it's probably just, because it's winter and it's just a lethargic fish. It's not aggressive. And, you're not going to get them all in the winter. In the winter, on your average day, you're going to mark probably more fish than you're going to catch well, obviously, but you know, you might mark 5 fish and catch 1. You know, 5 fish and catch 2, something like that. Maybe 5 fish and catch none. It might take 10 fish to catch 1. Just depends on the day. And then some days they're going to be real active. They'll be hitting everything. But if you're getting bass that come up, you know, and they won't take your bait, you know, you might need to change your presentation. You might need to downsize. But if, you know, if you have a jig and a waxy, they're not hitting it. You know, don't get discouraged. Stay the course. That's just bass in the winter, but you definitely can catch them. So go out there and try these tips. I think it'll help you catch some bass. So I hope you liked this video. If it did, hit the like button. Also, if this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do videos just like this to help you catch more and bigger fish. Also, I take my GoPro with me on a lot of my fishing adventures so you can see what I'm doing to catch fish. So like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.